MS Dhoni, fearless batter, legendary captain, player who rose to the highest echelons of the modern game. Not only did he do that, he inspired everyone along the way in a remarkable journey. He was tough, he was resilient, rare, just like platinum. But what sets him apart amongst these fine achievements on the field is compassion, something that is synonymous to both MS Dhoni and platinum. The ability to get through to others, to show compassion in a high-profile, high-pressure sport. That's something we discussed today.
The MS Dhoni Signature Edition. Jewelry crafted in rare platinum for men of platinum.
Hello and welcome to the Dhoni Legacy presented by Men of Platinum. Through this series, we look to explore some of the values that are core to MS Dhoni, his career and his life. Values that are as rare as platinum. Today, it's about the compassion of the man. And Nick Knight, broadcaster for so many years, Varun Aaron, state mate of MS Dhoni from his formative years, we'll talk about how MS, apart from all the things we know about him, gentlemen, on the field, has exhibited compassion. If I could perhaps even start with you, Varun, since you know the man, or at least his story from your days in Jharkhand.
I mean, his compassion in the biggest stage is well documented. The way he's carried himself, the way he's dealt with his opponents and stuff like that. But not too many people know how he started his journey. I think most of his compassion was in his early days, especially with his teammates. I mean, I never played Ranji Trophy with him, but a lot of his teammates are very good friends of mine.
Right.
And there are so many stories of him just uplifting other cricketers, helping them out whenever they needed any sort of help, like with their game or even out of the field. And he was one of those players who actually brought Jharkhand on the map. He was the first player to play for India from Jharkhand.
Yeah, Nick actually has a story, if you wouldn't mind sharing, Nick, of the compassion of the man when India were touring England quite a few years ago.
Yeah, so our playing careers didn't collide, but I think he started in 2004, I finished in 2003, so it's really just from a sort of media perspective. And I remember this one occasion, I can't quite remember the year, but it would have been around 2014, 2015, I think.
Yep.
India were playing a one-day international at Edgbaston, and I think won pretty convincingly. I was in charge of the post-match presentation, and it was one of my early post-match presentations, so I was pretty nervous about... Anyway, MS came up and spoke very well. But the compassion wasn't really in that instance. It was straight after that instance where my little lad, he was wicket-keeping mad at that point. I think he was only 6 or 7, something like that. And my daughter were there. And as the post-match presentation had finished, I saw Ravi Shastri. And I'm not quite sure what Ravi's role was, whether he was in charge of the team at that point or whether he was in the media. But he was there. And my lad was absolutely desperate to just meet or be in the same presence as MS Dhoni. So I looked at Ravi and I said, Ravi, can I come up and speak to you? And he said, yeah, come up. So I went up the stairs at Edgbaston, the new pavilion, and I said, look, my lad's down there. Is there any chance of just saying hi to MS and just shaking his hand? So he said, no problem, no problem. So he goes through the doors. Next thing, MS walks out, and he summons my lad, Ollie, up the stairs. My little girl trops up as well. She was only about 4, I think. And he sits down, and the next thing, he's got both of them on his knee like this, picture round. And Ravi was taking the picture. I was just there. And he said, Ollie, you like wicket keeping? And he said, I love wicket keeping. And he was really embarrassed and shy. He said, I love wicket. He said, stay there, stay there. So he gets up, goes back into the dressing room, and out he comes a minute later with his match gloves all signed. Right. And he gave his gloves to Ollie. That's brilliant. And those gloves now, not a word of a lie, are in my little lad's bedroom, and they're in pride of place.
Beautiful.
And he owed nothing to me.
Yep.
He owed nothing to me. We never played against each other. I was on one side of the screen and he's on the other. And just out of generosity and compassion, he realised my lad was passionate, or we said he was passionate about wicket keeping. And the rest, as I've just said.
I mean, how good is that? Ollie would remember that for the rest of his life. You would remember that rest of your life. And like you said, it's not like you were well acquainted or
no, I mean, it was just generous, really, overly
generous.
Generous. I mean, it was just, just very, very nice.
And the generosity, the selflessness, compassion of the man, all values as rare as platinum. And in fact, now that you talk about that time in England, you almost think of these pretty high-profile cricket incidents that also speak many times to the compassion of the man in a highly competitive sport. Who can forget Ian Bell being run out, perhaps being a bit dozy, not sure about where the ball was, what the time was, and it was MS Dhoni as captain at the time who called the batter back
So he always believed in fair play. There was no grey areas with him. There is no grey areas with him. It's either black or white. He doesn't really believe in dodging the rules. He likes to play everything by the rule, by the book, and that's how he led the Indian team as well. If you see the style of cricket India played, and the quality of India cricket of cricket India played over the years when he was captain was very fair, and never did you see India or any of the players overstep a certain line. They were always within the line, and that was because of his example. Even when he plays for Jharkhand, when he's with CSK, when he's with the Indian team, he's always had the time. His door has never been closed. If any youngster wants a piece of advice, he could always go up to him, no matter what time of the day. He would always sit you down and tell you how to go about things. I mean, help you out with whatever advice you needed. And that's generally a quality you don't see with people of his stature.
Yes.
They sometimes need everybody needs their personal space, but I think he puts team before himself.
Yeah, I mean, even the international players, it's one thing for MS to have his way, because we know that he's street smart communicator, gets Indians to warm up to him easy. But the likes of Sam Curran speak so highly about him, Moeen Ali. You have international seasoned players, you have young international players, and they all seem to rate MS as one of the best leaders that they've seen or played with. I think it's a skill, isn't it, Nick, to be able to get through to a variety of players and people.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about Moeen Ali, because one of the first things I said to Moeen when he'd had a little first foray into CSK's dressing room, I remember speaking to him just out of interest to say, what's MS like? What's it like playing underneath him? And all the words that have come out in this little chat were all words that he used. Empathy, sympathy, understanding. And I think, having never really had much to do with MS Dhoni, but from a distance looking in, on the pitch really, it's a human side. It's his human side that is really coming through here. One of the first things I do when CSK are playing, I just look to see how he handles himself. And the expectation when he walks out onto the ground and the way that he talks to people and the younger players. Vignesh Putra, I think the other day in that match, first thing he does is one of the first things he goes up and puts his arm around him and speaks to him.
Sure.
Makes him feel welcome, makes him feel part of it. Stuff like that you can't help but miss.
That's brilliant. Well, we heard so many great stories about him, and there's so much that goes on off the field. He, of course, has the MS Dhoni Foundation that was founded, I think, around 2010. It supports the education and sport development of underprivileged children. We know about his work with the armed forces quite publicly too. So there's the compassion of a man, value as rare as platinum. And thank you very much, Varun Aaron and Nick Knight, for going down memory lane, digging up those stories. And they're stories that I guess would have impacted people's lives. And that's what makes for a great man. MS Dhoni, compassion, a key core value to his career. And these are stories that just add up to why his legend has reached where it has after all these years. This was another edition of the Dhoni Legacy, presented by Men of Platinum.
The MS Dhoni Signature Edition. Jewelry crafted in rare platinum for Men of Platinum.